We gather videos and information from the web, and if you stick around, we are going to share it with you. So stay tuned for news and updates.
And what's interesting about this year, 2022, which was a remarkable year in so many ways, and through so many lenses, including through the lens of just fixed income and equity returns, it was one of the worst years, depending upon how you count, in, let's say, 50 years. But interestingly, it was the year that we chose at BlackRock to actually start implementing our digital asset strategy, the strategy that we had written over the past couple of years and chose to sort of like put in a pile and say, you know, one day we will do this, but today is not the day, because we wanted to see certain things happen. And what's interesting is one of the things that we were carefully observing is where we are with regard to regulation. And when Ukraine-Russia happened, which obviously is a terrible tragedy, an incredible event for the world, but importantly, it also has a lot to do with digital assets in terms of it was an unprecedented sanctions regime. And clearly the concept of understanding how to manage money, the SWIFT payment network, all of those items wound up being front of mind across the whole discussion. And what we observed is, as that was happening, it would have been a prime time for governments to choose to really lock down on digital assets.
Like, yeah, people, the tribalism in this industry is insane. So there's Bitcoin maximalists, but everybody agrees, like, you know, XRP sucks, and I don't really get it, right? I mean, they're a legitimate company, they don't pretend to be something they're not, and they're really good at one thing, moving money fast and cheap. And it's fantastic, it fills a big need. And for a hedge fund like us to be able to denominate in Ripple and XRP, I just did the same thing, is really, really, really good. When we did our first close, we moved north of $50 million into the company in Ripple, in XRP, in like 2 seconds, and it cost 30 cents. Now, that is amazing. There's no way to do that with fiat or Bitcoin. There's just no way to do it that fast and that cheaply, and so it serves a really useful need for us. And then also when our LPs eventually redeem, hopefully never, but when they want some of the money back, we just send it in XRP again, and there's no 3-day wait for international wires or 1-day wait for US wires. We're not paying wire fees and all that. It's just, I don't understand why that's hard to understand. And so the religious wars aside, the tribalism aside, it does some things really well, and we love it for that.
I am going to attempt to answer why crypto is good for payments. My name is Christina Campbell, and this is Crypto in a Minute. So I'm going to take the easiest payments transaction I think I make in a month, and that is paying a bill through my bank. When I pay that bill, I do it via an ACH. The money's immediately debited from my account, and whoever I'm paying doesn't get it for 2, 3, 5 days later. Crypto is good for payments because it gets rid of that 2, 3, and 5 days and makes it instant for when that biller receives my money. So instead of waiting for a bank transfer and traditional bank hours and banking systems to all do their magic, if I'm trying to pay someone with crypto, I initiate that payment. Money transfers instantly. Works essentially the same way email does over the internet, where instead of data transferring like that so quickly, it's actually the value that's moving that quickly. So that's why I feel like crypto is great for payments. Oh my God.
The American dollar will be scuttled. We will no longer be the reserve currency of the world. Now, here again, think of the magnitude of this, and there really is here, if I could use the word, and I almost hesitate because it's so startling, but this is treason of the highest form that probably has ever taken place in the history of the world. America has enjoyed the position of being the reserve currency of the world as long as you and I can remember. And I'm not a young fellow, but it's been that way all of my life. Yet, what are you going to see take place? A complete change as we know it today. One of these 204 currencies will be chosen as the reserve currency of the world. And there are some things taking place in relation to this currency right now. I do not know what the currency is. I was not told that. I was merely told that there is going to be a global currency reset with all currencies, but only 204 have agreed to keep their currencies within 5% of each other. The dollar will not be used, and the reserve currency that they will choose out of this 204, whichever one they decide to choose, or maybe another one that they'll decide to choose, and these other countries balance with it. The currency that they do decide that will be the future reserve currency of the world will be backed by gold.
Today I want to take the opportunity to talk about an important piece of legislation that may or may not yet be on your radar. Last week I introduced the Central Bank Digital Currency Anti-Surveillance State Act to halt the efforts of unelected bureaucrats here in Washington, D.C. from stripping Americans of their right to financial privacy. Digital assets in the digital economy are the future, but the Federal Reserve should play no role in developing a central bank digital currency, or otherwise known as a CBDC. The consequences, if we get it wrong, are far too serious. The Biden administration is currently itching to create a digital authoritarian-styled surveillance-style digital dollar. And through an executive order, they are pursuing analysis on a retail CBDC that would not be open, permissionless, or private. In fact, it would be ridden with significant risk to Americans' privacy, security, financial inclusion, and a whole lot more. This kind of digital currency would give the federal government access to and control over literally every financial transaction conducted by Americans. That's why I, along with a number of my colleagues, introduced the CBDC Anti-Surveillance State Act. It's going to prohibit the Fed from issuing a CBDC directly to anyone. It's going to bar the Fed from using the CBDC to implement monetary policy and control our economy. And it's going to require the Fed's CBDC projects to be transparent, if they get to go forward, to be transparent to Congress and the American people. We need these common sense guardrails to prevent unelected bureaucrats here in Washington from sacrificing Americans' right to financial privacy. As I think Mike Gallagher's committee is going to show us tonight, we do not want to emulate the CCP. We should not be taking our direction from the Communist Party of China. Developing a digital version of the U.S. dollar that makes transactions more efficient, extends financial inclusion, and does not compromise American sovereignty or privacy will send us into the next several generations of the digital economy.
This is not financial advice, and by any means you should not take any advice from us. We have no financial background. This channel is strictly fun base. So stay along for the ride, and if you like what you see, be free to like and subscribe.